So guys, I thought I'd change things up and start with an email this week.
Wow, that's different.
Incredible, unpredictable.
Yeah, I know. This one is from Alex K.
Alex K.
KK. It starts, "Hey y'all, my name is Alex and I'm a 15-year-old high school student from America. I started listening to the podcast when it first came out as a means of distracting myself from the blood draw I was about to get. And you'll be happy to know that I'm at least slightly engaged."
I just got that. At least wow, fantastic.
Thanks.
At least slightly engaged.
Because the show came out on Mondays, I would always listen to them as I came off at the weekend and had that first gym day of the week. It felt like all you guys were on the stair machines or treadmills next to me talking about science so I could never understand, but still enjoyed listening to, including actually learning and retaining the occasional simplistic knowledge nugget. To that end, I was wondering if this is an essay of an email.
This is an email and a half,
bit.
If you guys could do an episode on the science of learning, your brain making new synapses, different learning styles, holistic learning, etc., that would be great, as I'm headed back to school in a few days' time and need a familiar comfort of you guys talking about something I could vaguely understand. Thank you, Alex.
Is that what this week's episode's about?
It's not this week's episode.
Oh,
That's not
Corry,
Not at all.
that was dreadful. You just read an email basically requesting an episode that's really interesting, and then you're just going to not give us it.
Maybe next week?
No.
Okay. Shall we get started?
Should we just leave that in? Yeah, all right. Fair enough. Start the show.
Hello and welcome to the SCI GUYS, the show where we talk about the crazy, weird and wonderful stories from the science world. I'm Corry, and as usual, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Jamp and Luke Kupfer.
Good day.
Hello.
Just a heads up, I had to change it to usual because Luke left for 3 weeks.
You said that last week, Corry. Get over it.
As usual, not every time.
This week, we'll be talking about gut feelings and crap diets.
I think gut feelings are a real thing, and
They
I
are.
think they are evidence of spirituality. So
You're wrong.
I'm excited for this.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
A real thing, evidence.
They are a real thing,
Yeah.
but not because of that.
You can't make that statement.
But
You
I
don't
know
know
everything.
that. No.
Yeah.
No. You sound like all of science.
He
I
is
sound
the
like
science
you.
man, to be fair.
I don't know anything. I'm very open about the fact I don't know anything.
Okay. But you are this.
That's the whole point. Is I'm going, we don't know anything, guys, and you're going, we tested these things and they are correct.
We were listening back to the first episode, and there was this one point where you said that you were the start of the universe.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and your point is, what point are you trying to make, Corry?
It's just coming from the man that says,
My
I don't
birth
know
was the
anything.
Start of time.
What I said was that from my perspective, I don't know that anything before me actually happened.
Okay, so if you're ever feeling lonely, just remember that you're never really by yourself, because there's trillions of tiny little microbes living inside of you at all times.
Unless all of reality is a projection of your subconscious and you're the only thing that exists.
Okay, unless
In which
all
case
of
you
reality is a
are
projection of
very
your
much alone. So get over that for a second, guys.
But then we would have to exist
No.
in their heads to make this podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
For their ears.
Yeah.
I'm having deja vu. I feel like we've had this conversation. This exact
I feel like we do this
It's the
every week.
simulation.
James.
every single week.
This week, I'll be walking you through the microbiome and how the tiny creatures living inside you control your entire life.
Wow.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
like this. I like
Yeah.
this. This is the brain-gut axis.
Yeah, part of it, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we've spoken about this quite a bit, but off
Wait,
pod.
what?
The microbiome.
Yes.
It's all of the genetic material within a microbiota. A microbiota is just all of the microbes living in a place. In this case, it's you. You are the place.
I am the microbiota.
No. The microbiota is what's living in and on you.
Oh.
And they're everywhere.
Oh.
Think of any part of your body.
James's balls.
That's not your body.
Yes, it is.
Oh dear God.
It is when me and James are one in the marriage of harmonious lovemaking.
Please stop talking.
Well, first off, gay marriage doesn't exist, Luke.
What?
And second
Nothing
off,
exists.
that's an abomination. Yeah,
That's
so
a sin.
Me and James experiencing a nice night together of lovemaking is not an abomination.
Yes, it
may
is.
not. Okay.
yeah, so particularly in your gut, you've got a lot of microbes living in there. They're pretty useful.
Yeah.
Any idea what any of them do?
They digest stuff for me.
Yeah, just for you.
Just for me.
Just for
just for me. Don't do it for anyone else, do they?
Well, they could. That's the thing. They
Yeah,
could.
but they don't. So
We'll get to that later. Do you know how many of them there are?
trillions.
Lots.
Yeah, but better number than trillions.
3 trillion.
More.
Quadrillion.
4 trillion. 4.7 trillion.
More.
What? I thought there was only 4.7 trillion cells in your entire body.
There's 10 trillion cells in your body.
Wow, I just got a bit of an upgrade, didn't I?
Well, you suddenly grew spontaneously 6 trillion cells
I am so
Where
powerful.
did they come from?
from other cells. That's how they work.
Maybe in the same way that the universe is forever expanding, our cells are forever
It's just
multiplying.
Luke. It's just Luke's got more cells.
Oh, just Luke. Okay.
Just Luke.
The rest of us have 4.7 though.
4.7
No,
cells.
the rest of you always had 10. And I was
4.7
just...
cells. I'm missing a bit of one.
Yeah, so there are supposedly about 100 trillion microbial cells living inside of you, which is more cells than there are you cells.
That's mad.
Ah.
So you're not very you, you're more other little things.
More other things than.
Yeah.
Then
Or
where,
those little things are you.
Where are they all?
Everywhere. Literally everywhere. Your eyelids, your
Oh,
nose,
I don't want to think about it. No.
your face.
No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Your gut,
No, thank you.
in between your toes.
No, thank you.
Fingernails.
No, thank you.
Hair.
My fingernails
I
are
don't
very
think about
clean,
it.
thank you.
I mean, now.
That is utterly crazy.
It's annoying.
Disgusting.
There's like these little dust mites that just there's these little mites that are in your skin that feed on like dead skin.
No,
they're
thank you.
not necessarily the same thing, but like, it annoys me that those exist.
Just crazy, isn't
It
it?
annoys you that they exist.
It annoys me. I want to be self-sufficient. I don't want little things helping me. Get lost. Let me do it myself.
It's all right to ask for help, Corry.
I don't want to. I don't want it. Yeah, but that means that there's kind of anywhere between a 3-to-1 to 10-to-1 ratio.
That's a pretty big margin of error.
If you try to count a trillion cells, Luke, it's difficult.
Okay.
It's not easy.
You might lose
Do
count.
better, science.
Yeah, so there are also over 1,000 species just in your gut
My tummy.
alone. Yeah, in your tum.
Species?
In your tum-tum. Yeah. And when I say microbes, do you guys know what microbes are? I've just realized I haven't defined that yet.
Are they little bacteria?
More than just bacteria. It's any kind of microscopic organism. So that could be
Yeah.
bacteria, fungi.
Oh, so it's like any tiny living thing in you that is not you.
Yeah, if you
Essentially.
can't see it,
If you can't see it.
Yeah.
What if you can see it?
then it's not microscopic.
Okay. Oh, that's true. That's a good. That's a good point you raise.
Yes. So when I say microbes, just remember it's bacteria and all that other friendly little stuff living in and on you. So
In and on you.
In and on you.
In and on you.
So you guys have heard of E. coli before?
I have, yeah. That's pretty
that's
bad.
That thing that
No, it's
makes
not.
you sick.
What?
Whoa, you're dead wrong there.
Really?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm about to shatter your
I'm
worldview.
learning
I
so
swear people
much.
have died from it though,
Well, yeah, but people have died from water as well.
in a different way.
Doesn't mean that water's bad, does it? Now, E. coli is just it's just a bacteria, so it lives in you. It can be commensal, which we've actually discussed before. It just means that it's friendly. It's living there, hanging out, doing its own thing. Or it can be. Do you know what the word is?
Angry. Malicious.
I don't know what you're trying to.
Naughty.
The word for when a bacteria is bad.
What was the one for good?
Oh, mean.
What was the one for good? Commenso.
Commensal.
Commensal. Is it uncommental?
Pathogenic.
Pathogenic.
Pathogenic. I was
yes.
asking because I genuinely
Say-
forgot for that 30 seconds.
I knew it. I was just seeing if you would get it.
So yeah, E. coli was discovered in human feces about 134 years ago.
In poo.
Yeah. So before that, they didn't really know that anything was living inside you. They didn't know why they found E. coli in feces. They thought it was just for sick people.
Is it just inside you, or does it come from somewhere?
I mean,
I know it's got to
What do you-
come from somewhere.
what do you mean by that?
Where does it come from?
Oh, that's an interesting
I'm
one.
guessing it comes from the mother.
Part
when
of it
you-
comes from the mother, and also babies just eat a bunch of junk. They just stuff stuff in their mouths all the time.
I mean,
Okay,
adults,
that was more the lines I was going down.
Yeah, I mean-
adults eat a bunch of junk
So-
as well.
yeah, they do. But so a big part of it is breastfeeding and from the mother, and parts of it are in the womb as well, I believe. But also babies just stuff so much in their mouths. Just
Right,
everything.
yeah.
Everything goes in there. Have you met a baby?
I have met a baby, yes.
I'm acquainted with one.
I've been in parlance with a baby.
They are the worst.
I've also been a baby, by the way.
Oh, we've all been babies.
Yeah.
Oh, that's no.
Oh my
No,
God.
thank you.
That's wild.
At
I
the
wish
same
I could
time?
remember that. So there's this whole thing that we use to study diversity of microbes, not people,
Yes.
in our guts. And it's called
Microbes of color.
I'm pretty sure that's what the plague was. The
Mox.
Black Death, right? Oh my God.
Oh.
That's awful.
Oh,
Death of color. So it's this thing called 16S rRNA sequencing,
Yeah.
which sounds like a lot of mumbo jumbo, I'm sure.
I'm familiar.
Is that a sequencing of DNA?
RNA.
RNA.
So do you guys know what DNA
Yeah.
is? Yeah?
Yes.
Deoxynucleic acid.
Deoxyribonucleic
The-
acid.
Deoxyribonucleic acid.
Do you know what it's for?
It's for writing my cells and stuff. It's like the code to make me.
Yeah, so it's kind of the storage molecule.
Yes.
And RNA is what you use to actually make stuff.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a good way of thinking of it.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. It's just used for different purposes.
Yeah.
DNA is a
I'm
lot.
going to nod like I understand. Yeah.
It's like RAM and ROM, I think. Do you understand computers?
I know RAM and
Random
ROM,
access
and I
memory.
can
don't.
promise you it's nothing like
I don't
that.
understand computers.
It's absolutely nothing like
He's
that.
tired,
DNA
leave
is
him
RAM.
alone.
No,
RNA is
we're all going a
ROM.
bit-
no, it's not. You're
Yeah.
just saying things
Yes, it is.
to sound vaguely smart.
Oh yeah, it's like RAM and ROM.
No, I genuinely heard someone try to explain it like that
it's
before.
like Dick and Dumb. It's like that.
RNA is Dick.
It's like Ant and Dec.
DNA is Dom.
It's like Fred and George.
So RNA is used to make proteins.
Okay.
So basically, the sequence for RNA has got this really, really variable part in it, which is really, really different between different species of microbes. So what we do is we just sequence that a little bit, and from that we can tell what it is.
Right, so that is like, okay, an analogy in computing that would be quite good for this is that if you've got a bunch of code, imagine you've downloaded a file, right? And it's like 100.
Hold on. I'm imagining.
Imagine you've downloaded a file.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Let's go.
So if you downloaded a file that's like 100 megabytes and you want to check with the person you downloaded it from that you've definitely got the right file and there's no errors in it, what you do is you create a thing called a checksum. And what a checksum is you run your 100 megabyte file through a piece of code and it will use the contents of that file to generate like a string of like 20 characters, say. And those 20 characters are exclusive to that file. So if you then on the other end get the person who sent you the file to generate a checksum on their end, if your 20 letters match their 20 letters, then you definitely have the same file.
I learned about this before.
And even if you miss one byte when downloading the file, the checksum will be entirely different, right? And so that's basically what you're saying is that it's this small part of RNA, the rRNA.
So it's rRNA, which is
So,
a kind of type of RNA.
So basically what you're saying is it's a small part of RNA that you can use to check which species you've got.
Yeah.
And that every
Okay.
single one will have an entirely different rRNA. So by sequencing that small part of the overall RNA, you know what species you've got without sequencing the entire thing. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, look
Well
at me go.
done.
There you
That's
go.
really good.
Now, I don't know if that'll be explainable to
I don't know
anyone
if
who
that
doesn't
makes
know what
sense to
checksums
everyone.
are, but maybe it will. Tom Scott will be proud of me
Anyone
anyway.
who's really into computing is so in the know right now.
They got it. They got it. Do you get what we're on about?
I'm following.
Yeah, you got it.
It's a little bit of a big thing that tells you what it is.
It's like the front cover of the DVD. You don't have to read the entire DVD. You just look at the cover and you know which DVD is inside.
Why are you reading DVDs? Are you
I was
thinking
gonna
of
say
books?
that's the cover of a book, maybe?
No, I mean, you don't need to read the
don't-
entire code of the disc. I.e., you don't have to watch through the entire film. You can just look at the cover and you know what film you've
I
got.
thought you meant opening
It's
the cover and
it's
then just
just-
reading the disc.
When people
Yes.
talk about reading, they don't generally talk about DVDs.
Wow, this DVD is a really good read.
All right, okay, better example. It's like the synopsis on the back of a book. You don't have to read the entire book. You can just read this short part and you know which book it is. Correct?
Yes.
There we go. That's rRNA. You're welcome. Carry on.
Good. So we use that, and whenever we're talking about diversity or which species are there, it's because of that. rRNA.
Again, I'm going to politely nod like I understand what you just said. I don't
You
think
just explained what I said.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know what you just said there.
Diversity. Okay, so because we've got that variable bit,
Yeah.
Right.
that bit that tells us which one it is, even though we've got a ton of them,
Right.
we can tell how many different types of microbes there are because it's however many different types of rRNA we've got.
Yeah, but that would be true of RNA as well and DNA.
No, because you can't necessarily tell the difference between certain genes because they could be shared between loads of different microbes.
Right.
Oh, 'cause
Yeah.
they're all quite
Okay.
similar, aren't they?
Fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay.
Fantastic. In that case,
Fine.
it's really like a checksum then. So
Yeah,
I really like that analogy. Well done, me. Fantastic.
You're
job.
really right.
Well
As
done,
in, you
mate.
change a tiny bit of the DNA code or the RNA code, and it massively alters the rRNA.
Yeah, even if it's conserved within kind of families
Right.
or taxonomic units.
Okay.
But taxonomy
Absolute
is
unit.
defining things, defining animals and other creatures by
Right.
how they've evolved. So you've got like, you know how you've got
Right.
kingdom,
Oh,
order,
okay.
phyla.
Yeah. I get
It's kind of like a filing system, but for every living thing on the planet.
Like a.
The Dewey Decimal System.
Okay. Cool.
What were you about to say?
like a big family tree.
Like a family tree.
Yeah.
It is. It's essentially it is the family tree.
The
Cool.
family.
But it's everyone's family
the animal tree,
and plants
and plants,
and archaea.
fungus.
Yeah,
and everything,
and bacteria.
and bacteria.
Yeah, everything. Everything's on that
Everything.
tree.
That's a big tree.
It's a really big tree.
It's a giant tree.
So, Corey, one thing I know is you did a dissertation on how the microbiome affects everything else in your body.
I did, and that's why I'm doing this episode today.
Wasn't it about eating poo?
Part of it is that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is a part of it. We'll get to that later on. Jay, I've got a big old section at the end.
Finally, James has a justification for his biggest hobby.
I don't eat poo.
Well, if you lick butts, you're gonna get a little
I
bit.
don't lick butts either.
So how does it
Okay,
affect health? Tell us.
You guys know what IBS is? It's the irritable bowel syndrome.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Oh, BS.
Private padlock.
No, it's not BS. Come on, dude. I'm trying.
Oh,
IBS.
I thought you said IVS.
No,
I was like, what is that?
Irritable bowel syndrome.
Irritable bowel syndrome.
It's what every person with anxiety has.
Really?
No, I mean yes, actually, it correlates a lot, but
Interesting.
pretty much everyone with irritable bowel syndrome probably has some kind of anxiety
Is
disorder.
that because because your gut essentially makes all of the serotonin or most of the serotonin that's used by your body?
Is that true?
Yeah.
It's yeah, it can make serotonin, and
Ooh, I knew it
there's
could
this.
make serotonin. I didn't know it was most. Is
I
it
don't.
most?
I don't think it is most.
Google it.
I googled this the other day.
I think it is most. I think most of it's made in your gut and then it's used by other parts of your body.
So serotonin is not this. So it's not the serotonin used in your brain. It could well be that serotonin used elsewhere in the body is produced in the gut.
Yeah.
Because I know
And
that if you mess with
Interesting.
serotonin, like there are some things, like for example, you can take a supplement, like a medical supplement, 5-HTP, which is the precursor, the thing that the body uses to make serotonin and also melatonin and a few other things. And if you take it without taking another thing, then you get an overdose of 5-HTP in the gut, and it doesn't go to the brain particularly well, which means that you can get issues with the gut from trying to fix your mental health, which is like another thing.
Here's the thing with
Brilliant.
Here's the thing with there's microbes in your gut
Yeah.
that use that same precursor 5-HTP
Yeah.
to make other things and even to make their own kind of serotonin. So what happens sometimes is that they'll compete for the 5-HTP. So if you've got a shortage of it, the microbes could outcompete the cells in your gut.
Yeah.
They get it, not you, because there's more of them.
I love talking about this stuff because I once had to go through an
Interesting.
NHS system for therapy and for medicine, like mental health medication and help and all sorts of things. And I was doing a bunch of my own research, which maybe you shouldn't do. You should always trust your doctor, of course, because they are obviously trained. But I was turning to this guy who was prescribing me antidepressants, and I was saying to him, by the way, I take this medical supplement 5-HTP as well because it's the medical precursor to serotonin. And I figure if I have more 5-HTP, maybe my body will make more serotonin. And he didn't know what 5-HTP was.
What?
He'd never heard of it. And I was
Oh my
like, this
God.
guy's prescribing me drugs to release more serotonin in my brain and doesn't know what 5-HTP is. And he was just looking up medicines in a book. And so while I would always say, trust your medical practitioner, there are parts of the NHS where the people don't know about the thing they're prescribing, which is it's because the NHS is so overrun.
Yeah.
Mental health is really poorly poorly handled.
Funded. Yeah, most of it's the funding.
Shall we go back to IBS?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
So IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, essentially it just means that you poop yourself a lot. It's
Cool.
all the time, and
Shaky butt.
yes,
Shaky butt.
yeah, and it can
Itchy
also
butt.
lead to other disorders and end up meaning that you have to have your colon removed.
Mm-hmm. Like Hannah.
Yes, like Hannah.
Our
Like
friend
you get
Hannah Witten had her colon removed, and she talked about it a lot and was very open about it and very public about it, and really helped people who are going through similar things, and sort of destigmatized essentially having part of your butt removed, which is a big thing.
It is a very big thing.
She could have kept that quiet and been embarrassed about it, but she didn't. So well done her.
Yeah, good job, Hannah. Yeah. So do you know what it was that Hannah had?
It was ulcerative colitis, wasn't it?
Yes,
Wow.
which is
Look at
Because
you,
it's,
James.
it's the one that's not Crohn's disease.
Right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's generally caused. It can be caused by a bacteria actually called C. diff, Clostrididae diff. I can't pronounce it. Bacteria names.
Good one, Corry.
I know what it looks like written down.
Only the facts on this
It's off the
podcast.
top of my head.
You heard it here first.
So C. diff. It's this. It's a bacteria that's quite heavily linked to that.
Yeah.
So this all ties in to into it. You know. So bacteria in your gut have a massive influence on your health as a person.
That's mad.
But it's not just crapping yourself. It's also things like obesity. So people say obesity could be caused just by eating too much, not exercising. But actually, there's genetic factors and microbial factors at play as well.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah. So it's not just your genes. Also, the microbes in your gut play a huge part in what you can actually metabolize.
Yeah.
So you could take... There's been studies where they've taken microbes from a skinny rat's gut and put it into an obese rat's gut. And the obese rat has gotten skinnier.
Wow.
Whoa.
And vice versa.
That's brilliant.
On feeding through the same thing, feeding them the same diet.
Yeah, sure.
And they're the same
Wow.
rats as they were.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Because the thing I think about a lot is, like, for example, imagine you have, I don't know if this is necessarily true of how the actual science works, but imagine you have in your gut some bacteria that crave sugar, and they have some way of making you crave sugar. Then you're going to then ingest a bunch of sugar when you don't want to do that. Just to shut up the little voice in your head going, eat sugar, eat sugar, eat sugar. And that's actually coming from a microbial source. Is that correct? Is that how it works?
So I'm going to link this into what I'm about to talk about, which is diabetes. So it kind of does work similarly to that. There are some bacteria that... Do you guys know how diabetes is caused? Roughly.
Well, there's two. You can have type 1 or type 2.
type
But
two.
I'm guessing it's when the one that you can get, is that
type
caused
2.
by you eating way too much sugar and messing up your insulin levels, and then your body stopping to produce its own insulin?
Yeah, so there's... Yeah. So like you said, there's two. That's kind of one of them. But generally, it's for type 1 diabetes, it's an autoimmune disorder
Yes.
where your
Yeah.
pancreas, which is what makes insulin,
Yeah.
which is the regulator of sugar in your body. So that your body can essentially start attacking pancreatic cells to stop them from making insulin. And the second type of diabetes, type 2, is where your body just doesn't respond to insulin the way that it should.
Mm-hmm.
Both of which are influenced by bacteria. So yeah, there can be bacteria that like are in you and affecting how your body deals with sugar. Whether or not it's a case of eat more sugar, fatty. It's
Eat more sugar.
yeah, it's different. That might not be the case, but there is definitely like a precedent
Yeah.
for that happening.
Because there's a similar theory to that in why we started as a species growing wheat, and essentially what it is, it's from Noel Yuval Harari's book *Sapiens*. Yes, James, I've read *Sapiens*.
Have you read *Sapiens*?
I've read *Sapiens*. Have you read *Sapiens*?
a bit of it.
We've gone a whole year without you talking about sapiens, please.
So in there, he talks about how we think that we domesticated wheat. And actually, the reality is that wheat domesticated us. In that wheat gave us a really easy source of carbohydrates and essentially made us work all day plowing fields,
To grow it.
watering things in order to grow and by essentially reproduce the DNA code wheat. So the DNA code of wheat saw a hack in humanity and when I can reproduce this DNA code more if I get them addicted to my particular type of either carbohydrate or gluten. And so it's a similar thing to that, and that there may be parts of your body that now want wheat, because I definitely feel it. I feel this like craving for toast, and like
That's true,
and it's
actually.
never. It's like a smoking addiction. It's never satiated, is it? It's like I could always eat more bread.
Yeah.
you can't always eat more bread. It's like popcorn.
Yeah,
I mean, that's sweet corn, but you can eat as much popcorn as you want.
and so it's
Yeah.
entirely possible that we have microbes in our stomach that are particularly good at
Give me
digesting
wheat.
wheat, whatever
Yeah.
is in wheat. And those things go, eat more wheat, eat more wheat, eat more wheat, because it just doesn't stop, does it? We just love bread, we love toast, we love pizza, we love pasta, we love everything.
See, you say
That's true.
and that is true. They do control. They can help you control what you eat, but also you can control what is going on with them by altering what you eat. Because obviously, if you feed the right microbes the right things,
Sure, I agree. But what I mean is, like, say you have these ones that are particularly good at digesting wheat. If you decide, right, I'm not going to eat bread because I'm fed up of being addicted to bread, then they would, as they die, which is how you would alter your gut bacteria, is to change what you're eating, and the ones that want that thing that you used to eat will die. As they die, they're going to shout at you a whole lot louder to eat bread. And it will take you a while, like with a smoking addiction, where you have to get over the first few days where it's like your brain is just screaming, nicotine, nicotine, nicotine.
Yeah.
And then eventually it breaks because those bits of you... Now, again, I'm going to massively... This is just how I think about it. This is not necessarily real science. I'm just guessing, and I've thought this stuff through in my own head. But as those things die, then they'll scream at you louder and you'll crave this thing even more. And then eventually they'll be dead and you'll have won and you won't need that craving for bread anymore. That's my theory. I'm trying to get rid of bread out of my diet. Not from the point of view of calorie restriction, and people shouldn't be doing that if they're healthy. But from the point of view of, like, I don't like being told what to do by my own body.
fair enough. I don't eat bread. What's the point of it? It's boring.
Yeah, it's pretty boring.
It's useless.
And it's one metabolic step away from sugar.
What bothers me about bread is that bread isn't a food. You don't think, oh, have a nice
I don't eat
a nice
much
slice of bread.
Unless I'm having like a burger.
Bread is a
I don't eat
vehicle.
bread.
Well, yeah, it's a vehicle for other foods.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of food vehicles. I want just the food itself.
Food vehicles.
Yeah, I want peanut butter. I don't want bread.
Yeah,
Go
exactly.
away, bread. I don't want you.
Bread, you were just a reason for me to have peanut butter and jam together because I can't eat them off like...
Just get a spoon.
I do sometimes actually
spoon of
eat
peanut
peanut
butter,
butter
half
on a
spoon
spoon, and it's really good.
Oh, I'll eat peanut butter off a spoon, but what I'm saying is that I only have bread when I'm making a PB&J.
It's something to put your peanut butter on.
Yeah. It's something to
Yeah.
put the peanut butter and the jam on to put them together.
Interesting.
So it just comes down to which bacteria you feed and which ones you let die off, which is why you've got people that have got really poor diets having stomach issues or eating foods that are quite bad for you.
There was a story this week in the news about a guy or a boy actually, I think it was a boy who just ate chips and pasta, chips and
Chips and Pringles.
and he went blind.
He went blind.
Yeah.
So he had a nutrient deficiency. I was just watching this. He had a nutrient deficiency for a long time. So it started when he was about 14. He started feeling tired, and they put him on a B12 supplement. But he obviously had other deficiencies. So by the time he was 17,
So it wasn't just B12; it was something else.
so it was B12 to begin with,
A bunch of other
but he
things.
also had a lot of other deficiencies because he was just
Yeah.
eating chips from the chip shop and Pringles, and that was pretty much it.
Ooh.
So after 3 years, its optical nerves just start to deteriorate.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. So he's got permanent hearing
And
loss
it's permanent.
and
hearing
sight loss. Yeah.
Poor guy.
I mean, eat a vegetable.
Eat your veggies, kids.
3 years,
but he
no
might
vegetable.
not have had anyone to teach him to do this.
His parents were trying to give him fruit and veg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, that's just really it. Just
Me
really
trying
shows.
to be empathetic, just had it thrown back in my face. No, Luke. Some
No.
people are just stupid.
I mean, 3 years of chips and chips.
Yeah, that's not great, is it?
Yeah.
Did
But
you
it
not
just-
get bored of them?
No, you can't get bored of chips, man. They're
No,
so
that's
good.
I had chips tonight, and I got halfway through the box, and I was like, I'm bored of these.
What, chippy chips?
Chip-
As in chips from a chippy?
Yeah, chippy chips. Yeah,
What?
How do you get bored of chippy chips,
from
man?
the chip shop up the road.
That's a good
I had
chip
half-
shop.
Yeah, I
It's a
had
good
half the
chip
box.
shop.
I was like, I'm
Wow.
done with these.
Something's wrong with
You
you.
should write a review saying, I had half of the
No,
box of the
the
chips you
thing
sold
is,
me, and
they
I
were
thought,
good.
They'll
I'm
close-
done with these.
they'll
And then I
close
talked
down.
about it on my podcast.
They were good.
They're going to close down. That's
One
the worst
star.
insult they've ever had.
5-star review. Stopped eating halfway through.
Yeah, so like I was saying, the microbes in your gut can actually have an effect on your pancreas and cause diabetes. So not only are there, like I said, genetic risk factors for things, you can also have risks just by the microbes that are sitting inside of you. And this is just in
Yeah.
your gut. Remember, they're everywhere else as well.
Yeah.
So they're in your mouth, they're in your eyes,
don't say
your
that.
nose, ears, everywhere.
I don't like to think about it.
No one likes to think about it.
Donald Trump's going to listen to this, and he's going to be so...
I'm going to build a wall around my skin.
Let's hopefully build a wall around his mouth and suffocate.
Got to keep those microbe things out.
But it's weird that when you think of bacteria in your body. You
Which I do all the time.
well, no, I mean it's generally where people will go is to plaque in your teeth. When you think of bacteria in your body, you think, oh, I want to get rid of that.
Yeah, I guess.
But actually, if you were to get rid of bacteria in your body, you would probably die. And when I say probably, I mean almost certainly die.
And when you say almost certainly, you mean definitely.
100%.
Just don't get rid of them. Do you know when you've got antibiotics and then if you take them for a few days, you start getting, let's say, really loose stools?
No.
Really loose stools.
I don't know that happens.
I haven't taken
I
antibiotics
trust
much,
that
to be
it
honest.
does, but I don't really pay attention to like
Your bowel movements.
I pay attention to that, but I don't pay attention to it in correlation with my antibiotic use.
So when you go on antibiotics for a
'cause
while,
it kills everything, doesn't it?
yeah, it's you're
Not
bringing
just-
a sledgehammer.
I was going to say not just the bad bacteria, but also the good bacteria that I assume gives you healthy poo.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So if you you get rid of that, then you start, having
Getting
unhealthy poos.
Runny poo.
Yeah. So drink your petit falou.
No, I'm vegan.
Oh,
Petit
I'll
food.
drink my vegan digestive enzymes. Thanks, man.
drink your Alpro then. Jesus.
The rest of you drink Yakult.
Oh yeah, Yakult.
Yeah.
Which is actually, that's the thing. I used to think it was just rubbish, but it makes sense.
It's good for you.
It's all there. It's good for you.
It's good for you.
Good bacteria. So obviously I've spoken to you about how the microbiome can affect some organs in your body, like your pancreas and your gut. But
yeah.
there's another very big organ in your body that it affects.
Brain.
The brain.
The brain.
Dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
Which is,
Arguably the most important organ in your body.
for most people.
I don't think so. I don't.
What's the most important
Well,
organ in
you
your
need to
body?
start using yours, Luke.
I use mine
Ooh.
far too much.
That's your issue, isn't
That's
it?
true.
Yeah, I want rid of it for a bit.
All it brings me is stress.
Yeah.
Remember that Remember that time you tried to shock it to make it better?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
worked though.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So back to brains. Do you guys need to be told what a brain is? I'm not sure if you've got a lot of experience with them.
Well, I'd like to know, just as a tangent, what is the official scientific
What
definition
is
of a brain?
brain.
I don't know what the official scientific.
Well, don't
Why
ask
would
the question
why
then,
would I
man.
look it up, Luke?
Don't ask the
We all
question.
know what brains are. They're the things that are doing this right now. You see the thing that's your brain, the thing that's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's the little pilot in the meat suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the gut can actually interact with the brain
I
In-
assume so.
a few ways. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And not just one way. It's not
Like
just the brain telling.
directly?
Yeah, so it's not just the brain telling the gut what to do. It's also the gut telling the brain what to do. Yeah, so that whole thing is called the gut-brain axis because there's a whole bunch of different ways they can interact. So obviously the main one is through like the central nervous system and the nerves heading towards the gut from the
Yeah.
brain. The second way is through. Do you guys know what endocrines are?
I've heard of them.
I've heard of-
Endocrinology.
No, I don't know what it is though.
Yeah, endocrinology is essentially hormones.
Right.
So the endocrine
Oh.
system, the endocrine system is like your bloodstream, but for hormones.
So would this be basically that the things that are made in the gut enter the bloodstream and then go to the brain through the blood, and then the brain interacts with those hormones and it makes a thing happen in the brain?
Exactly.
So that's the thing I would have thought would be the way that the brain and the gut talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Is like that's a more indirect route. I didn't realize that they also talk through the central nervous system.
Well, in terms of it goes one way, doesn't it?
Oh, so the brain talks to the gut through the nervous system.
Yeah, the brain talks
The
everything.
gut
through the
doesn't talk back through the nervous system.
everything. I mean, okay, so you know how the way that your nervous system works is that your brain will send a signal to a part of your body,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you can also get a signal back from that part of your body to the brain.
Yeah.
That's how touching works. That's how sight
Yeah,
works.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's how feeling things
Yeah.
works. So the gut can send things like that back,
Yeah.
but there's also a more robust way of it talking to the brain.
Which is through hormones.
Through hormones, yeah. And there's also other ways that microbes can affect that.
The thing is, though, I don't think that's talking to it. I don't see that as the same thing, because that's like, for example, imagine you have a phone and you can make a phone call to your factory, right? You own a factory, you can call your factory, and then the factory manufactures steel, which is delivered to your house, which means that you know that your factory is doing well. It's the steel that the factory is producing isn't a message. It's just that you can understand as a brain. Oh, my gut must be doing well because I'm having things delivered to me.
So what I mean by this is, so the endocrine system is a series of glands connected through the bloodstream. One of them is in your brain, the pituitary gland,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
one of them
It's
is
the thing in the middle, right?
Yeah, it's the thing that makes you grow. It's the one
Yeah.
that produces all the hormones, like
Yeah.
human growth hormone. It's the one that produces all the hormones, like human growth hormone and all of those. So I get where you're coming from, but there's also the pancreas as well, which is part of the endocrine system as well. So they can send out hormones to the gut or to the brain. In that way, they're kind of communicating with each other through hormones.
Right. Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just mean it's a less detailed and less direct route of communication.
Well, in the sense that the gut can tell, the gut can tell the brain, hey, you're hungry, and the brain can be like, cool.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, it's just different means of communication.
Yeah.
There's also the fact that microbes can affect that by basically interacting with gut cells.
But it's a lesser bandwidth form of communication. Like you can't convey an awful lot of data via that communication method. You can communicate you're hungry, whereas the brain can communicate with electrical impulses. Essentially, like it could communicate in like a binary format. It could communicate like massive amounts of data through electrical impulses, whereas the gut communicates back in like very slow or very unspecific, like you're hungry, you're stressed, you're sad, which is still helpful, but it's not a high bandwidth communication.
That is true. I mean, and that is a big part of it. It is slower, but it is because it's affecting the brain, which does control everything. It's kind of got quite a bit of influence over the body.
Oh, sure. I think that these things are probably very powerful though, in terms of like your brain tells your gut, do all these things, do loads of stuff, and then the gut goes, you're hungry, man. And then the brain changes its entire behavior pattern to go and seek food. So it's very powerful.
But I mean, not only that, I mean, so that goes into what I'm about to talk about, which is mental health. So while it's not necessarily a really fine, intricate way of talking, the gut can affect the mental health of a host. Like the microbes in the gut can affect your mental health through, affecting what neurotransmitters end up reaching your brain through stress, as in you can be more susceptible to stress if you've got dysbiosis in your gut, which is essentially just your bacteria being all out of whack. That can make you more susceptible to stress.
I think the thing I find frustrating about it though is like, say for example, your gut's deciding you're not happy because of the food you're not taking in, for example, and it releases a stress hormone or it releases some kind of thing to tell the brain something like this. It then, your brain can't work out why. Like your brain can't be told, you're not getting enough B12, for example.
I think you're misunderstanding me. I'm not just talking about the gut being like, hey, you're sad because you're not getting these nutrients. It's way beyond that. It's above like, oh, I need this food. It's the microbes in the gut just affecting the brain just because that's what they do.
I know. But what I mean is the microbes in the brain then don't tell the brain why. They just refuse to release the hormone.
But they're not doing it for your body. So what I mean is these microbes do it for their own benefit.
Oh, I know that. I know that. I know that. But I mean that if, say, for example, I had the years of depression that I had because of an imbalance in my gut, there was no way for my gut to tell my brain why so I could actually fix it. Like, I had to do it by trial and error. My brain had to work out on its own why. Whereas the microbes in my gut know full well why, and they don't tell me.
I mean, you could say the same for your brain, though. I mean, because bear in mind, I'm not saying that depression is caused by microbes in your gut. I'm saying that it is affected by it.
Yep.
It can be exacerbated by it. There were studies that they did on mice, by the way, which were quite cool. They made mice depressed.
What did they do?
They
made mice depressed.
Made mice depressed
by changing their microbiome.
No. Well, so what we did was we've got a really good model for depression in rats and mice. So we made them depressed by shocking their feet until...
What?
Hear me out.
Wait, is it like... Did they learn that they were like helpless and so they...
Yeah, it's learned helplessness. That's literally what it's called.
Right.
So,
brilliant.
Yeah, so they taught them to be helpless and then...
So only when they knew that they couldn't help themselves and no one was going to help them that they developed... All right, okay.
Right. And not all of them developed depression. So what happened was some mice were depressed and others weren't. The way they measured whether they were depressed was after shocking them, they would open up kind of a doorway to another end of the cage where they know that they're not going to get shocked, and they would start shocking them. And if they didn't run to the other end, then they were depressed.
Yeah.
Oh, they just given up. They just accepted their fate. Oh,
yeah.
That's so sad.
Yeah. And
why? I don't really care that you're... I mean, I know it's going to make people's lives better. I know, but like... That's just so horrible. We don't have any concept of how aware these things are, what their experience of life is, and like That's just so horrible and so arrogant to think that that's acceptable.
We've the thing about reading this is, like I said, we've got a really good model of depression in rodents because we've just made so many of them depressed. We actually gave some of them PTSD.
Brilliant.
In this study.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Aren't we just the best?
Honestly, I would personally, having gone through like 10 years of depression, I'd rather be depressed than be happy, and that's why I'm happy.
Yeah.
Like,
no, absolutely.
I know that I'm then making everyone else sad with me, but I think that's not worth it to be happy. Like, I don't think you're going to end up in a world where you're happy and are happy that you are happy. I would be happy, and then if I found that out, I'd have a new depression.
Exactly,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I don't deserve to be happy because
this
I'm
is
only
why I'm
happy because they
happy.
electrocuted a bunch of rats and mice, and that's horrible.
Yeah. It is really sad, but they did find some cool
Yay.
stuff out.
I don't care, Corey. I don't care.
You can genuinely see a difference in the microbiome of the depressed rats and the non-depressed rats. Like, very clear difference. And the non-depressed rats, the ones that were still shocked, were actually really similar to control rats, which weren't shocked at all.
So that means that the rats that didn't get depression had a more resilient microbiome that went, we're still going to make you happy even though you're getting electrocuted.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it could be maybe the other way around as well. When
The
you're
ones that got depressed had a particularly weak microbiome.
well, yeah, if you get depressed, it can mess up your microbiome, which is
But
why
that
you
wouldn't
see.
explain why some of the ones that were shocked didn't get depressed.
Because some people just don't get depressed.
Right.
As in, there could be. What I'm saying is that all I'm saying is that you don't want to definitively say that one causes the other.
No, I know
Because
that.
there's no way to there's no way to know that from that experiment.
Yeah.
Which is just a thing you do in science. You just got to be like, well, I don't know that this causes that, but we can see that they correlate.
Yeah.
But we got to figure out why. That's the reason why you see a lot of people have IBS and anxiety at the same time.
Right.
Because clearly they're linked. There's quite a few studies, one of them done on rats and a similar one done on humans, that shows that it's a cyclical thing.
Yeah.
That if you're stressed, that causes dysbiosis, a disorder of the things in your gut, which then causes more stress, which then makes your gut worse, and then it gets into this cycle of being horribly depressed.
So they influence each other rather than it being one causes the other.
Yeah, so the key is that it's a two-way relationship. It's a bidirectional pathway.
Well.
Utterly wild. So what are we going to do about it? Drugs is what we're going to do.
Okay.
Drugs?
Well, drugs. But
I'm listening.
A new class of drugs, and I'm sure you're going to love the way that this sounds. They're called psychobiotics.
Oh, very
Yeah.
It's got the
exciting.
word psycho in.
Yeah, it's
That
good.
sounds dangerous.
So I'm guessing it's a drug that affects both the brain and also the gut.
Yeah, well, it's a psychoactive probiotic.
What?
What
or
is
a
a-
prebiotic.
What is a
What?
probiotic?
Is it
So-
just like Yakult and then magic mushrooms put in a blender and then fed to you?
So Yakult
And a
is...
Nutribullet.
It's like
I
Yakult
reckon
is...
we could make our own ones of these guys. I don't think we need science.
Yakult is to make your gut healthier. Like, as in, it's to make you've got, better stool.
More of the good stuff.
Whereas this is essentially just Yakult that makes your brain happier.
Yeah.
Which Yakult already does, because I
okay.
really like Yakult. It's quite good.
Yeah. Oh, was there a vegan Yakult?
No,
I really wish there was.
I know.
I take vegan digestive enzymes.
You've mentioned
That's
this
no
already, Luke.
Yeah.
That's no Yakult.
Yeah, but you might have thought I was joking. I actually do have a little box.
Genuinely.
That's a really funny joke.
It is a very Luke joke to make, isn't it? I take digestive enzymes. So psychobiotics, they're probiotics or prebiotics that affect your brain
As well. How?
No, they affect your brain.
How?
Just directly. So, do you know what?
Isn't that just two drugs in one then?
Well, no, it's one. So, a probiotic is a live microbial thing, culture,
Yeah.
that affects your gut
Yeah.
in a beneficial way.
Positively.
A prebiotic is the precursor, like 5-HTP.
So the thing that then the gut can help itself.
Yeah, exactly. That promotes the growth of healthy
Yes.
gut microbes. So the idea
Right,
behind
okay.
psychobiotics
Okay.
is, instead of using probiotics or prebiotics to say help with IBS or obesity, you use probiotics or prebiotics to help with brain health. So
it's
you
just-
want to promote...
It just promotes cultures that then will increase the brain gut access positively.
Yeah, so
So it doesn't actually affect the brain directly. It just helps it makes the stomach, or helps the digestive system or whatever help the brain.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's not a psychoactive substance then.
No, it's not.
It helps your gut
affects-
make some more psychoactive substances for you.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's I don't think we've even mentioned it yet, but I mean explicitly, your gut makes psychoactive substances,
Yeah.
as in your gut makes things that can go to your brain.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
completely change
Yeah,
the way it works.
Absolutely. And I think that's actually ultimately going to be a better... This thing you're talking about here with a thing that helps the body then make something that helps the brain, I think that's a lot smarter because our bodies are pretty good at being bodies. And I think medicine is much more helpful when it helps nature do nature's thing rather than tries to just be God. And
I agree.
That's quite exciting.
See, a key point I made when I was doing my dissertation was the fact that you can make Yakult that stops people from being depressed.
Wow.
And what I mean is, I
want some of that.
Yeah, I mean, you'd stop being vegan for that.
I'd stop being vegan for like one day to eat some Yakult that makes me not as depressed.
But what I mean is that obviously this isn't, again, it's not a cure for depression, but it can help alleviate some of the symptoms. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And
And if you can alleviate
Interesting.
some of it, then people get a little bit better and they can start doing them things for themselves.
Yeah,
And that will spiral you back up in the way that you were saying that, your brain makes your gut worse, makes your brain worse, makes your gut worse. If you
Breaking
can,
out of the cycle.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you
That
can break the
spiral.
cycle, start the cycle back up.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's so easily mass produced and everyone can have it. And the point that I made was that it's a preventative measure. Because the whole thing about
Yeah.
mental health is that you shouldn't only worry about being mentally healthy when you're mentally ill.
Yeah.
You should
That's true.
it's like it's not like you treat your body terribly until you get ill and then you're like, oh well,
Oh, well, better start taking care of myself
I
now.
should start taking care of myself now that I'm sick,
You say that, but there is a lot of people who do that.
Yeah, but a lot of people are dumb.
Yeah, okay.
We can't just live our lives based on what a lot of people do.
I didn't say that's the right thing to do. I just said that there's a lot.
The
You
people
said
who are
what
people
you
who
said
do
was
that.
Yeah, everyone. Luke says that you should hate yourself. That's what he said.
no, I didn't. I said that I take vegan digestive enzymes.
You take vegan digestive enzymes?
I do, guys. I take
That's
vegan
quite a
digestive
fun-
enzymes.
Can I have some of your vegan digestive
You
enzymes?
absolutely
Funny
cannot.
joke.
They were expensive.
Where did you get them?
I don't know. Probably Amazon.
Oh, nice. Okay. But that's the thing about mental health. You need to
I think if you go to Amazon and you search vegan digestive enzymes, then they might come up.
Look, I'm trying to
Yakult
be.
just
Do you know
comes
what
up.
I'm trying to do here? I'm trying to be helpful to all
So
the
am I.
listeners.
I'm trying to
that-
help all the vegans have
to all
better
the-
vegan digestive enzymes.
to all the listeners that might be struggling
yeah.
with
Lack
with
of
depression
vegan digestive
or,
enzymes.
or other mental health issues, and you're here just talking about your bloody vegan digestive enzymes.
Well, but
Drink
what if
some
it-
Yakult.
What if my vegan digestive enzymes promote good gut-brain axis and then they get less depressed? Yeah, shut up, Corry. I'm doing the same job as you.
I am pulling the weight. I kind of want to end on my favorite one, which
What's your
is
favorite one?
it's FMT.
What's FMT, Corry?
It's fecal microbiota transplant.
Is that where you eat poo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't need to eat it. They put it through your nose.
What? That's not better. Definitely worse.
They put it in a tube.
A doctor's gonna just like be stuffing
Right.
poo up
Just
my
like,
nose.
Sorry, it's got some
Get less depressed.
poo in this
I
tube.
got it under
It's
my
gonna go
nails.
up your nose.
Yeah, so
Don't mind it.
do you know when you go to the hospital and they put tubes up your nose to go
Yeah.
down your throat
Yeah.
and into your stuff? They do it that way. Or
And they just pump poo into your body.
yeah, or they send it up with like
Up
in
your
a kind
butt.
of
Now-
colonoscopy kind of way, or they use an enema.
Is that a big needle?
When we
No, an
say
enema is
when we say poo, is it actual poo or are they taking stuff out of poo?
no, it's literal.
It's
It's just
literally
poo.
poo.
Yeah.
It's
I
just,
thought that poo was poisonous.
just
No.
poo.
So okay,
That's what my mum told me to stop me eating my own poo as a kid.
Oh, that's why.
I was trying to be less depressed, Corey.
No, it's
yeah,
poisonous. That's the
eating
only
your own
reason.
wouldn't fix that. If anything, it would make you more depressed.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
think about it. You
That's
need to-
why. That's what happened.
Okay, right.
Finally, I have a reason.
Before this gets too out of hand, I'm going to properly explain what FMT actually is.
Please do.
It's essentially you take a fecal sample,
From a
Mhm.
happy person.
some poo, from someone that is healthy, and then you just put it in someone else's stomach, and all the bacteria are in that fecal.
Interesting.
Yeah, in that fecal sample.
So
So
it's-
they'll then be in your gut.
So it's like what we did with mice and rats, but with
I thought you meant we were putting mice and rats inside ourselves, and I was like,
no,
no, we're definitely not doing
no.
that.
It's where we make. It's like what you were saying, where they make
Yeah, that was
fat rats skinnier by transferring them.
Yeah, that was an FMT.
That was an FMT.
So that's what we do in that case.
Do
And,
you think there's a future in which I can get really happy and healthy and then sell my poo for money?
I mean, you could just sell it for money now.
To who?
You might have to invest in someone else's poo in order to get happy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could buy some happy person's poo, eat it, then sell my own poo.
I don't think I know anyone happy enough to want to eat their,
Yeah, true.
Poo in a bag and then...
But there's actually been a few issues with this. It's not 100% safe.
There's
obviously.
been a few issues
been a
with
few
stuffing
issues.
poo up someone's nose.
Okay,
Corey,
no.
have there?
No.
Okay, so eating your own feces is fine generally. I mean,
I want to clip that.
Right,
and
we've got
just
that.
upload it as an episode.
We've got that soundbite
No,
now, so...
so think about it. If you're eating your own feces, you're only eating stuff that was already in you.
So it's not going to make anything
Just
better.
Yeah, it's like
Just
drinking
your
your own
stuff.
pee. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just don't drink anyone else's. That's how cholera happens, by like other people's feces leaching into groundwater.
Yeah.
And then other people getting into
Lovely.
touch with bacteria that they're not capable of hosting. So there was this case recently, within the past few years, in which someone had an FMT and then died because there
Lovely.
was a antibiotic resistant bacterium in the transplant.
Yeah.
So in the sample, they didn't test it well enough. So someone actually died, and someone else had a similar sample and had the same strain of bacteria in them, but they were fine. So it is not 100% safe, but so long as you screen it, it's fine. Just don't go eating your friend's feces
Direct
to get happier.
No, okay.
But there are clinics that
And
will do it
that's
for
the
you.
end of the show.
There are clinics that'll do it for you.
There's a lesson to
that's
be
it.
learned from this episode. It's don't go eating your friend's poo
Eat
without
your own.
screening it first.
Eat your own.
Eat your own's fine.
Yeah.
Are
Okay.
you satisfied with that moral?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That is the episode, guys.
Yay.
And that's the end of the show.
Finally.
Yay.
Don't eat your friend's poo.
Thanks for listening. You can find the full references for this episode in the description. Subscribe for new episodes every Monday, and why not leave us a nice wee review? You can find and contact us at SciGuysPod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, or you can send us an email at sciguyspod@gmail.com. You can
Lovely.
follow me at NotCorry everywhere.
You can follow me at Jemkin everywhere.
You can follow me and steal my poo and eat it.
Don't eat his poo.
Don't make it depressed. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.